Infrastructure is the big focus area of the Modi government, and on Modi's A team today, we've got none other than Steel Minister Mr. Birender Singh joining us right here on ET Now. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. You've just presented a 3-year report card, and some of it is encouraging. There are some areas that I would want to cover in this interaction with you. The passage of the National Steel Policy, and you've set a very ambitious target, and the focus, of course, is the domestic steel sector now. You've set a target of 300 million ton steel production target by 2030. Is it too ambitious given the fact that the industry may not want to invest at a stage when demand is so low?
If you go by demand, demand we have maintained even in when the industry was under stress.
Yes.
Demand has been in the range of 5.8 to 8%. So that way there is no question that there may not be demand. And the second thing is, if you see our infrastructure, this present budget, the provision is of about 4 lakh crore of rupees. That means if the steel component is 10% of the total, 40,000 rupee steel that would add to our, which you say that demand. Other areas of demand is what I broadly think is we are still to cover 75 to 80% of our infrastructure need. We are a country where infrastructure is not developed to that extent where we can claim that we are nearing completion. So another 10-15 years required for the complete, having complete infrastructure, maybe connectivity by roads, rails, or development of our ports. Shipping is one of the important area where there is a lot of consumption of steel. So if you put all these things together, as far as infrastructure is concerned, we are to construct 5 crore of houses.
And there will be demand that will come from.
And 3 crore in rural sector under Pradhan Mantri Gramin Awas Yojana, and nearly 2 crore in the urban areas. So if put together, there is a demand, and we have come out with some prototype houses where the under this housing scheme, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, they have made available 2.25 lakh for BPL, and we have our prototype is of 2 lakh rupees.
That's right.
So that there is a scope for the increase of consumption of steel. So putting all these things together, and I may not be that expert in that way, but what I see is in Southeast Asia, Cambodia-like countries, Vietnam, there are so many small countries, they would also be having the requirement to have complete infrastructure in their countries. And ultimately, as Prime Minister has pointed out yesterday, that there should be a corridor between African continent and India. It is also of great importance. There also I visualize that there may be a great need or the demand for steel.
So you have also made a war cry of sorts as far as production of high-end steel is concerned, and I'm presuming that's keeping in mind with the automobile sector, the fact that India could be a hub in that space. How do you intend to involve the domestic industry in the production of high-end steel? Are there any specific plans on that?
Yes, first of all, we want to get out of this stereotype production of steel, which is called crude steel.
That's right, yes.
And that way we are quite open to any of the transfer of technology. Whosoever is, if he wants to put up one's plant here with some a new technology where we can have high-end steel, quality steel, and as you have put it rightly, that hub of automobile. In near future, if all this manufacturing of car is put together all over the world, we may be nearing having production of 27-28% of the total car manufactured in the world over. So that way, if that level of production is there, and still we are to import high-end steel, then putting up such plants is of no use as far as my country is concerned. So first, transfer of technology, and there would be total 100% FDI, anyone who comes here. And second thing is, as I say, that crude sort of steel, we would ensure that there should be some JVs or even in our domestic research work, there must be some innovation, some sort of research to find out how to be self-sufficient, to create a situation where we have a substantial production of high-end steel.
Talking about JVs, I know you've been in dialogue with ArcelorMittal. Will we finally see a JV happen there? Will we see ArcelorMittal set up shop here in India? And how far away are we from that decision?
You know, about a year and a half, MOU was signed between SAIL and ArcelorMittal to have JV. But initially there were so many hiccups, and ultimately sometime I thought that this may not take off. But now latest position is 31st is the last date to clinch the issue. This May.
That's right, yes.
So I hope that we are nearing clinching of the issue, and maybe within few days there may be JV with ArcelorMittal. That is my hope, and that what I have gathered from SAIL and even from ArcelorMittal sources, almost all the issues have been resolved except one, and there may be one meeting which the issue which is already...
What is the bone of contention? I mean, what is that one unresolved issue?
There are so many technical things which I may not be able to explain thoroughly.
Yes.
But some pricing,
I understand,
and some of the sharing. So these are the things, and ultimately, you know, both the parties, they decided to have some expert who can play mediator role. So that is how they came closer to.
So we will perhaps see a resolution there. The NPA ordinance that was brought in by your government to resolve the bad loan mess is perhaps going to have a huge impact on your sector, because steel has a lot of exposure to bad loans. What sort of a relief are you expecting from this?
You know, steel sector, there was about more than 3 lakh crore loan, that if we talk of 8.50 total stress loan, then 3 lakh means we are about 26-27% of the total stress loan. First of all, when we made our efforts to see that industry should come up to a level where there can be smooth repayment of the loans, that stage we have achieved in the last 6-7 months. But still, when you talk of this presidential ordinance, which may be, what is an ordinance is, steel has been taken care of as priority sector for adjustment, to see that business is not to suffer on this account. So I hope up to 40,000, I'm talking of 3 months back when we were able to have the restructuring of the loans according to the guidelines of Reserve Bank of India. And with this, things may be more plausible as far as industry is concerned, to see that loan payment doesn't make any any bottleneck as far as our 2000 policy is concerned. And I hope this ordinance would be of great help.
I just have a quick question, sir. 3 lakh crore was the exposure that the industry had to these bad loans, this mess, out of the 8.5 lakh crore that was reported. How much of that do you think is in a stage where it can be resolved by this ordinance?
This I think, with few exceptions, I may not be knowing the detail, but the way this ordinance is here, a large portion of this bad loan would be resolved. This is my gut feeling. But one thing I must say, that 10, 12 years back, when there was, flood of giving
That's right, yes.
Loans to this particular sector, and that became problem. That became problem for the banks, that became problem for finance ministry, and if you see that their target was steel ministry.
That's right.
So first of all, we decided that how to come out of this. Then MIP, second is anti-dumping, and ultimately side by side we were supporting the guidelines of the RBI, and on that guidelines we were able to resolve at least 15 to 20% of the loan that which was restructured. That is one thing. The other thing was, I asked the industry, when you are looking at us with these sort of help, then you must also resolve certain things. That is, one is, can you improve your efficiency level?
That's right.
Which can compete. Then the next thing, which I was very keen to see, can there be some replacement of those imports which are to be imported by us? So ultimately, this was also one of the reasons that now things are moving smooth.
One of the focus points to increase steel capacity is increasing the raw material availability, which has been a sore point of producers. How exactly are you looking to deal with that? Because the steel ministry has spoken about capping of iron ore prices. With steel prices being hiked recently, can we expect such a cap for steel prices as well? Maybe a regulator for the sector? Is that on the cards at all?
Now steel sector, or maybe any sector, as far as industry is concerned, it is no more regulated. That is one thing. And the second thing is iron ore, which is available in our own country, and that too of good quality. There should not be frequent fluctuations. So that is one area of our concern. And I have appointed a committee, or you can call it a task force, where we want to see that what kind of mechanism at least should be developed, where there is a satisfaction on the part of the end consumer, and also to see that the producer should have this thing in mind, that mine efforts is to earn profit, but not profiting.
That's right. Yeah.
And secondly, which I have explained, that the fluctuation should not take place like this, that sometime even when we talk of coking coal, sometime it is $70 per ton, the next day we find $310 per ton. So this kind of fluctuation, iron ore, how to do away with this, so that at least for a particular span of time, one can think of that there may be fluctuation, but not to the tune of 50%.
And
40%.
which is why you're speaking about capping.
Yeah, capping is not our agenda, because we, as I have told, it is deregulated.
So how will you ensure that these prices are not fluctuating or as volatile as they are?
One factor is MNDC, they have their captive mines. So, and their main, area of operation is to have iron ore mines, and they are one of the largest, producer
yes.
of iron ore. So, if they, because this is RPSU, NMDC, if they maintain some standards, should I explain in that way, that there should be national or international standards of pricing.
That's right. Okay.
If those are maintained to certain level,
then this fluctuation will
then
go.
fluctuation would be very low. Rather, I can say that for some time it may not be visible.
Right. I want to ask you a specific question that the industry keeps asking, whether it's MIP or safeguard or anti-dumping duty. This did help the industry a lot. My question is, are we out of the woods? Is trouble in the steel sector behind us, or can MIP perhaps make a comeback? How exactly is the industry coping with a life without MIP and anti-dumping duty?
You see, things cannot be definite as far as commercial activities are concerned, because global market is having its impact on every day, you
That's
can
right.
say.
Yes.
But MIP is now a gone case. There is no MIP now.
No possibility of a comeback either.
No, I don't think there is any possibility. Second thing, which is anti-dumping. We have anti-dumping measures. About 75% of steel is covered under anti-dumping, and 25% finished products are there. There we are not interested to have such kind of anti-dumping measures. But still, I should say that in the last 2 months, rather 3 months, when anti-dumping is in operation and MIP is withdrawn,
yes.
there are so many items where import is zero.
Okay.
So if we continue with this kind of situation, we may even withdraw anti-dumping measures.
Oh, you're looking at withdrawing anti-dumping measures?
Not
if the scenario continues.
Yes, if this kind of scenario continues, where some of the important products, there is no import, then naturally we are at advantageous position. There is no need for having anti-dumping measures.
A quick question, sir. I think scrap steel plants are being talked about as this next big thing in the steel sector. Will we see these plants come up in India? I mean, what are the plans really on that front?
This is a new area, and scrap, most of the scraps where you see the secondary steel, they are the main importer of scrap from outside, and they are rather dependent. But now there is a legislation pending in Parliament from the Ministry of National Highways and Transport. That legislation, if that comes out and takes the shape of a act, then 15 years is the limit.
That's right, the scrappage policy. Yes.
Of any diesel-driven vehicle. They will not be able to fly after 15 years. So this kind of situation, we are watching on that. Then we would be in a position to have sufficient scrap available in our country, and that too in the North Indian part. If you see North India, 4 or 5 states including Delhi, we have 44% of scrap, of the total scrap which is available in our country. And the second area is of great concern, that is the import of steel, maybe in the form of scrap or maybe any form. 67% of import is on the western side of our country, that is Maharashtra.
That's right.
And Gujarat. So what I think is to solve both the problems, when material is available in the shape of scrap, that we can have a plant in North India, and the second plant where we can minimize the import.
It can be in West.
That can be in the West. So this would be scrap-based steel production is, it's a quality steel. It's a high-end steel.
High-end steel, yes.
So we are very keen to see, and with a survey, we have found that the vehicles which would be off the road, if they are to be sold for plying, they may be, the owner may not be getting that much of price.
But in scrappage, they could get a better price.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's
that is 10-15% higher than what is
the price that we get. I have a last question on this, sir, and I think your ministry has been pushing for consolidation in this sector because of the trouble that the sector has gone through. What's your thought on that right now? Are you actively pushing consolidation?
Consolidation or coordination is of two types. One is, which I am very keen, consolidation of innovation and research work. That is the need of the hour. And it's not only the steel sector. The country itself should realize that if we want to compete with the Western world,
you have to collaborate. We
have to collaborate, and we have to see that certain things which cannot be, take place in the Western world, because of certain laws which are to be followed there, we can have that advantage in our country, and that collaboration is very important. And as I have already explained, any kind of improved technology where we can have high-end steel, we would welcome. That is also collaboration in a way. And also to see that some of the, steel stakeholders in our country, they should also find some technologies where they can have understanding in the Western world or in America, and they should come here. That is why I, in one of my interview, I explained it at length that steel melting and manufacturing, which is the policy of United States, we now under this our new policy,
yes.
And there is another clearance from the cabinet that is domestically manufactured iron and steel. That is now would be the part of our any kind of project which is to be taken up by the government.
That's right.
There in the priority would be given to India make steel. That is how the Prime Minister, when Prime Minister says make in India, we
so
say
why not make steel in India as well?
Yes, and that's way, because to start with, you put up the same question that how you are going to increase your consumption. That is another way to
increase consumption,
to grow your consumption.
On that note, sir, thank you very much. It looks like at least the steel sector is in safe hands. So thank you very much for speaking to us, sir. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/etnow.